All right, my friends. All right, my friends. Hope you're well. I decided to start shooting these videos and sharing some of the experiments that we're conducting. So, what I have here in front of me is a deployment platform, Manus. And what we're doing here is using AI to turn existing ideas, expertise, insights, and intellectual property, existing contracts, articles, case studies, research, the stuff sitting on my bookmarks, bookmark tabs, as well as in Google Drive folders or on my desktop, taking all the data that we have, humans have had to produce all these years, right? So for the past 20 years of creating various legal content, tax, technology, IP, business, marketing. We took all that and started loading it into AI, right? So we're retraining, customizing the way AI actually operates instead of using the default, loaded LMs and LLMs, which are loaded by OpenAI, Anthropic, and the different platforms. What we're trying to do is actually extract, number one, the IP sitting in us as humans and existing intellectual property that we've already created, monetize in some way. Oh, let's stop sharing again. So let me go back to that. And at the same time, now leverage the speed, power, and the coding capabilities of AI, not just the generative or the agentic uses that you see a lot of people on Facebook or on LinkedIn talking about, right? That is one way to use AI. There are many other ways. What I'm showing you today is what I used to do for large corporations using AI as well as various technologies to build infrastructure, right? The architecture, the frameworks, full blown software, like the ones you and I have had to subscribe to all these years, right? Month after month, just to operate a law firm or tax firm or consulting or marketing agency or whatever it is. We've now entered the era where we can actually build and operate these softwares by ourselves. Okay. So what you're looking at here is the deployment platform Manus, which is owned by Facebook. I love using that one over the others. I just find it to be the most intuitive and intelligent one out there. It's an agentic platform, but excuse me, it's a vibe coding platform as well. So what we're doing effectively here is instead of, let's say you have this case, instead of the traditional use case of how to figure out how do I use Anthropic, right? Claude code or Claude in some way to automate, let's say, a lead that comes in and you're setting up some sort of automation so that it goes to another platform, maybe ChatGPT where you can analyze it, perhaps to Google Drive or some other database management system. So there's a lot of agentic uses that I see people talking about, right? And again, they're not easy, right? It consumes a lot of time trying to figure that stuff out and making sure connections work. What I figured out is how do you now, if you have a large firm and you're tasked with uploading thousands of files, right? Or you predict that in the next couple of years, you're going to have hundreds, if not thousands of files. How do you now start owning the platform? How do you overcome these, building hundreds of agents, right? And what I've discovered is building infrastructure where the agentic uses, the generative and agentic uses are embedded in there, but done very, very specifically. Okay. And what I mean by that is the risk that lawyers face right now is leveraging generative AI, right? Uploading a contract or document or anything related to your client work inside of a thread, ChatGPT or Claude, for example. Arguably, it is seizable. It can be subpoenaed, right? Because if you read the court cases around this stuff, it's about a third party, a tech company in this case, having access and around the way it takes in the input and generates new content. So if there's a generative process involved, the courts are starting to rule that that particular content may be shared or may be subpoenaed, right? So there may be confidentiality, privacy issues. It's not in a stored, controlled database. There's a potential leak, and there's lots of cases where Chat GPT threads and so on have been leaked to the public, right? I'm sure you read about it. So what we're doing here is creating, actual platforms that we can log into, we can send to clients. This is my admin view as I'm building software. As I can, I get on calls with attorneys, and I'm taking notes. Okay. Now, all of this is a centralized dashboard customized to each and every firm. You know what your firm needs better than any other, platform or developer. The platforms you're subscribing to are, I did a survey on this and I'll share the results. There's a ton of different platforms that lawyers are subscribing to, right? There's like over 30 that I found in just one survey. I probably put in a list of 15. There was another 15 to 20 of them people added in there. And so when you think about all of that and how much money you've invested in these platforms, right? That's what the sales guys call it, an investment in your firm, investing in your law firm's automation. To me, those are expenses. If you don't own it, control it, can sell it, license it, trade it, merge, crash, whatever you want to do, and pass it on, all of that is an expense. Okay. If you can do those things, then it's an asset. Here, this is a software once it goes live. And if I want to make it into a private, even offline, I can test it on a deployment platform like Manus, which I'm doing right here, where all of these cases, as I upload them, are on this is more like a management software now, right? Which is closer in line with traditional legacy platforms that you might be using, like Clio or Wealth Council, even things like Go High Level, perhaps ClickFunnels, WordPress, right? Google Drive, Dropbox, Basecamp. These are all management storage, technologies, and generally you don't find them subject to subpoenas and things like that, where this leak is occurring, right? And so if you read the compliance stuff around it, that's one layer of additional security and where content is stored from your law firm and the exposure issues. What we're doing here is using software, in this case, to customize the way you want to build your own software, right? How you want to control data. All of this data is in a control setting. It's not live to the public. There are protected passwords that you have to go in through, where you have login access points, right, for attorneys, for the clients. And you can customize it if you have multiple practice areas. All of these are auto-customized, right? You can see here the lead names. Okay. Let me go and show you some examples. If you have a, let's say, personal injury firm, the type of accident, family law firm, okay, separation matters, all of these are customized to the practice area. Okay, so this way you can run a full, complete portfolio of services and operate under one technology. You don't need multiple softwares to draft, to store client matters, for documentation, storing evidence, not only what you can upload, but also what clients may be able to upload. So you can see all this is, some of these features some of these features may not work because, again, this is just testing, right? I don't even operate a law firm anymore, but I've been on a mission to go back and build better versions of every software that I've used in the past 15 years that I can remember or dig up from my records. There's a reason I bought those softwares in the first place. There was a need for it. There was a particular solution that I was trying to solve. And so how can I rebuild that with AI, but using my own intelligence, right? Frameworks, thinking, my insights, stuff in here that no platform has been able to capture so far, right? The generic platforms that we're subscribing to are not going to capture all the nuances that you know, right? That are possessed, that are sitting hidden, that you possess right now in here or in your law firm's, computer databases, bookmarks, drives. How do we extract all of that? That becomes a source data, right? That this platform is going to use. So in that sense, let me show you another version of some of these softwares. In that sense, there is no hallucination. Every document here is something that I will upload, right? All of these things are things that are customized to your specific practice. So you can see here, once you pick the area, let's say it's a business document, complaint, motion, retention letter, subpoena, orders, right? Client name, template use, and you can retrieve it on demand, right? And so that's the beauty of AI now. And what this process is, how can you do this? Now, do you need coding knowledge, first of all? No, but it would be very helpful if you have coding knowledge or if you've actually spent money, your own money or investor dollars in building a platform such as this or any other variation, dashboards, analytics, CRMs, case management, intake forms, document holding, evidence, deadlines, things you can add, okay, notes, and then a client-facing portal. These are complicated and sophisticated softwares that you would have to spend $100,000 to $500,000 in the past, okay, and still have to do. If you're going to build something like this for your law firm, you better be ready for six figures, right? But the alternative is this: learning how to do this, learning how to work with programmers, right? The programmer, the advantage you have is the programmer now is actually somebody, right, or a team that is that are experts in law as well, which is AI. When you train, which is you, right? You're taking your intelligence, your frameworks, your thinking, your patterns, and you're loading it into AI. So you're powering AI with your intelligence. I call this IP infused AI. So that's the first step in this process is customizing these platforms, GPT, Claude, and a deployment platform like Manus and Gemini, these four platforms, so that it has your thinking, frameworks, ideas, stories, patterns, experience, expertise, right? Your decision making. Why choose one path versus another? How did you end up in your area of law? Okay, why you over somebody else? What is your unique competitive advantage that no other lawyer has? That they're not competitors. Your direct competitors are not really competitors. Once you start putting all of what you have on the table, are they? Probably not. Right? Maybe on the surface level, they offer a similar solution and they package it into a 5, 10, 20, I don't know, whatever, $50,000 package. But there's a lot more in you, okay, that makes you unique that you haven't been able to showcase in a law firm. Because that family law client, that estate law client, the tax client, right, the PI client, they don't care about all those other skills that you have. Okay. So we want to start monetizing them. We want to start putting those into technology systems, into intelligence systems. This way, doing this, you actually end up owning the softwares, the intelligence. You're converting your law firm into a digitized, okay, intelligence platform that owns its own technology. So imagine if you're trying to retire or you're trying to exit or wind down your practice. I've come across every single day people in these groups tell me they're looking to get out of law and start doing what I do, doing tech and AI, building and investing, representing, right? And that's, what I've been doing for almost 10 years at this point, since 2015, and with technology as a whole since 2008. So it's been a while since I've been in this world doing this, right? And so a lot of this goes back to, what do you want to do? If you want to wind down your practice, then absolutely. Building a tech, okay, is, I believe, the fastest way to boost and enhance your bottom line valuation and actually make your firm exit ready. The law firm you have may not be viable in its form right now. It's based out of you. It's based on you. If you disappear, you stop, an accident or something happens, that's game over. Somebody has to wind it down. That's a whole different topic, winding down a firm, right? Succession. This goes into succession planning. How do you become or create a highly nuanced and successful law firm succession plan? By digitizing your law firm. Okay. Uploading, updating everything you have from every other rented platform into your own database. The best time to build your own software was when you started your practice. The next best time is right now, because the speed at which you can do this and the cost of this platform is $100 a month. GPT, Claude, Gemini are about $20 each, $30 each. Okay. We're talking $200 to build if you know how to do it. If not, even, a couple $1,000 maybe, right? Hiring somebody, going through it, downloading codes or whatever. But we're talking about a hundredth, a thousandth, a millionth of the cost of what it would cost you, what it would have costed you a few years ago. So I believe this is the, you know, uh, pivotal moment for law firm owners and lawyers who are thinking about advancing their business, their reputation, their grip on the market, their positioning. If they want to be the innovative forerunners in the profession, not just be another great lawyer, because there's tons of great lawyers, right? Competitors, so to speak. But you want to start operating in a category one, okay, like I am. Almost everything I've created in these past 20 years have been in big, wide blue oceans. And again, a lot of them, I'll be honest, have been because of technology. Okay. I've had the means, I've been blessed and grateful to have the opportunity, exposure, the means, the connections, access to money to build software over the past, 17 or 18 years now. Okay. So many of you have not had that opportunity. I've been working with tech companies and developers all my life, inventors, scientists, and this is something I had the privilege of doing for large Fortune 500 companies. These dashboards I'm showing you right now are actually very similar to what I had built for several Fortune 500 companies about a decade ago. At that point in time, they were using IBM Watson, which is a main AI building platform. And they were not using it to generate content or images. They were using it to build infrastructure, right? Expediting coding speed, expediting functionality, agentic uses, what we're all doing in the public now. You think these are new inventions? No, they've been perfecting it for the past decade before it became public, right? Before ChatGPT was out there, it's been around since 2015 or 16, right? They've had multiple launches of these products and they've been innovating, they've been testing thousands and thousands of cases, use cases, examples. So here we are now, right? These platforms have publicly been available for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years at the most. In my surveys with lawyers, I just did a survey in one of the groups, and I'll share it with you on the website. If you head over to buildlegaltechnology.com, you'll see it there. I've had 100, I think over 100 responses, out of which lawyers have picked all kinds of platforms and a few AI platforms. Nobody, zero, picked Manus. I think there was one or two who picked Lovable and Base 44. That's it. These are vibe coding deployment platforms that you can build full blown technologies from. And so it shows you that lawyers are still operating, okay, and now adopting, integrating AI and trying to master AI use cases that were from like 3-4 years ago. These features, agentic features and generative features that you're playing around with, trying to upload contracts, expedite drafting, these were available in 2022, early 2023. It's been 3.5, almost 4 years at this point. Okay, I actually went back and looked at my ChatGPT threads, and I've been using it from the day it was released, right? And a lot of these agentic uses, again, our early experiments were coding platforms like this within ChatGPT threads. That was my first set of experiments, right? And again, I had a framework, I had past experience going back and saying, all right, this is what I did for this company. Let's see if I can do it by myself without having to go hire developers, without investor money. The client, whoever it was, paid us for a contracting gig to build a software like this, digitize all their contracts, legal documentation, etc. And I'd go hire developers that I thought could do the job, right? So I had those expenses, and whatever was in between was my profit. Yes, it was profitable, but these were projects that involved $3, $4, $5 million sometimes to build sophisticated software, upload thousands of documents, and then train the internal teams to manage it. Okay, designate a few people who can manage it. One lawyer who's actually, tech savvy to say, all right, you're responsible now. And because the other lawyers were averse to even using it, okay, they didn't even want to use these platforms. And so now, finally, though, I've noticed the legal industry has finally woken up and realized, hey, we actually have to start using AI. So better late than never, okay? However, if you want to skip all the stuff everybody else is doing and you want to start saving, tens of thousands in addition to what everybody else is doing using AI, but at the same time, not only saving tens of thousands of dollars, but actually building an asset, intellectual property that digitizes your firm, increases the value, and creates, if you want, separate revenue streams. I can take this as a SaaS and sell it to law firms, right? How many law firms do you think will buy this? Like, there's nothing out there. And here's the thing, I can now download the code, put it in somebody's law firm, which we've been doing, customize it to their unique approach, upload all of their templates. Okay, I have some default templates. These are all just, again, demo versions, right? But we can upload your documentation, your IP, your insights, your stories, your frameworks, guardrails. So this technology is now customized to your firm. That is how you gain, right, unparalleled, preeminent competitive advantage in your market over everybody else. I see all these legal groups, people trying to do agentic uses, automate one or two features. Stop wasting time. How many automations and agentic uses do you think I've automated by just building technology and letting AI choose what agents it needs to deploy, right? Probably 300 or 400 agents in the back. As something happens here, let's say a new client comes in, I enter the information, right? And I save, and now it shows up in this lead CRM system. Okay. Let's say this was a use case. I updated a step, demo schedule. You see this moving, right? That is a manual agentic use that you would have to say, if client says this, then move to this. All I have to do is explain in depth the logic of what I'm looking for. And once AI knows you, your business, your forms, has your IP, it'll do the best it can. Okay. So assume that this is the smartest lawyer who's also a programmer that you have ever met in your life. Okay. What if you can start treating AI that way? The smartest lawyer who's also the smartest programmer that you have ever met in your life. And they're like, $200 a month, I'll build whatever the heck you want me to. Would you still be playing around with agentic uses, or would you start replacing, every single software that you've ever used? Does that make sense? Why I'm addicted to building these softwares? Let me show you here. These are every single one of these are independent, full-blown softwares, CRM systems, companies, okay, portfolio companies, some mostly for us, just experimenting. Many of them with clients. This is one of many accounts that we have. Experimental mode, just testing ideas, concepts, games, courses, IP fused with AI. What can come out of it? Take a look at this one. This is a foundation, okay, Law and Tax Foundation. I'm in the process of, can't dive too much into details, but in the process, when you watch this video, May 20th, um, of partnering with the IRS and creating free educational courses, right? And teaching people. On another side, we're trying to partner with Department of Labor and USDA and a couple other government organizations and create programs to create AI resilient institutions. So we have a whole frameworks, initiatives, journals, courses, partnerships. I mean, this is a very deep website. Look at all the stuff involved here. How much do you think I would have to had spent in the past to make all this? Okay, to create a website that can go partner with government agencies or large Fortune 500 companies. Not just partner, but get them to fund the entire project, which is what we're doing. We're raising money. Okay, these are all the initiatives: financial and tax literacy, AI ready workforce, capital access for nonprofits, succession. I just spoke about this. How do you digitize it using AI so that all the brilliance you have is not lost with you? Okay, I speak to lawyers, doctors, accountants almost on a weekly basis who are looking to retire, right? They initially come for something else, trusts or foundations, and they're like, wait a second, I do have a business. I'd love to sell it. I didn't even think about selling it. We're talking about them thinking about closing the firm because they've just done with it and building a multi-million dollar asset that actually can be sold, licensed, maybe even a small royalty out of thin air, almost out of thin air. Okay. If you know how to use and command and guide AI. So that's it for me in this short video, right? Thanks for watching. Hopefully, this has given you some ideas again on the different use cases of AI. This is all about mindset. This is all about how you look at AI. Not every single system is the same. Claude does some stuff really well. GPT excels in certain things. Manus, absolutely smashes all those platforms and other things. Vibe coding deployment of platforms like this. Okay. $100,000 platforms built in minutes. GPT nor Claude can do that. Now, Claude might be able to do it, giving you codes and stuff, but you better be technically savvy with GitHub, right? With downloading various other softwares, creating virtual clouds, creating APIs, integrating those features. Yes, some of that is involved here as well, but it's only one or two things. We use a combination of Google, which most of these platforms are all deployed either on Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. Okay. So no matter what platform you use, ultimately it, streams back to one of those data centers, providers, right? I'm okay with that. There's nothing you can do about that, right? If you're on the cloud. So here we're using Google. It's secure. It's not hackable. We're building multiple layers of protection in here. And you can even put 3 sets of passwords if you're really worried. Okay. You want to go that deep, you can. You want to create 10 sets of passwords with a facial ID, you can do that. You want to download it, make sure it's untouchable, download it to mini Mac or something, keep it completely offline, only take it online certain times. You can do that as well. You have the ability to customize the internet experience. That is where we are. Welcome to AI Revolution 3.0. You are sitting in an extraordinary moment right now where your insights that you've gained, right, through being in the fire, being in the trenches. This is not something developers. A developer cannot build a software product like this without an attorney's input and close guidance. Is that true or not? Absolutely. They would not know the nuances, all the maneuvers, all the little steps, right? Deadlines, this, that, and the other. The things that only somebody in the actual area of practice, like you, the practitioner, would know about. So how do you now start monetizing all that, right? Building multi-million-dollar softwares by converting those frameworks, all the notes, everything else, because your legal clients are not going to buy that. There's no way around it. So this is an opportunity to become a tech firm owner, a legal tech firm and intelligence system owner, right? Digitize your IP, preserve your wisdom, watch your ideas, insights, frameworks take shape in the form of technology. Okay. This is preserving wisdom with AI. And that's our mission. Preserving your wisdom with AI, converting it, creating new revenue streams, creating legacy technologies that can outlive us, you and I, right? That's our mission. And if that is something that appeals to you, you're in the right place. See you very soon. If you want any information, you have any comments, questions, feel free to comment below. Reach out to us either on LinkedIn or Facebook. Build Legal Technology is the name of the group, or just go to the website, Build Legal Technology. Request a demo. We'll showcase, some of the softwares we have, and if you want to talk about incorporating something similar, what it will cost, the time involved, how do you manage it, how do you maintain it, how do you take all the existing stuff now upload it at record speed so you can digitize and cancel ongoing subscriptions. If you have another year of Clio, Wealth Counsel, Go High Level, all these platforms that you've been paying tens of thousands of dollars for, right? And you're like, man, I'm sick of it. Well, this is the moment. This video was created for you. I got sick of it. That's why I'm doing what I do. Okay. Building and replacing all the software that I had ever used and building versions that are in my opinion, 1 million times or more intuitive, intelligent, customized, okay, and coherent, aligned with who I am. I'm customizing the internet to myself, to my brain, to my needs. And I want to show you how you can do the same. Okay. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you real soon.